Let me tell you a story. Why is everything so messy? I mean, even more than usual. Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm going to college. Yeah, that makes sense. That's why I haven't done anything. And also, I'm in a new location. Yeah, before I get into this video, I moved to college and I've been editing for Mista GG, which I still can't believe. So links to those videos will be in the description. Go watch those. Anyways, let me tell you a story about God. Yes, everyone, please grab out your Bibles and then immediately put them away as they're not covered in the textbook. Now, a few years ago, I was a freshman in high school and I went to a private one because I lived in Ohio where all we have is corn and Jesus. And in my freshman theology class, which is basically religion class, my teacher showed us a movie called War Room, which is undeniably a movie. War Room is a film about the Jordan family who seem to have it all. They have a dream house, a beautiful daughter, jobs they both enjoy. However, as they say in the movie description, depending on where you look, appearances can be deceiving, which is ominous. In the movie, our main character is Elizabeth Jordan, a woman, and her husband, Tony, a man who I'm rooting solely for because we share the same name. Let's go, Tony. And their failing marriage because, spoiler alert, Tony be cheating. Really hoping that clip of me saying that does not come back to haunt me in case my life goes downhill at some point, because in that case, I made a severe. Now, this movie is so bad that you'll probably need an external factor to keep your attention throughout the 2-hour runtime. Yes, this is a Christian film that's 2 hours long, so I made a drinking game for it. Rule 1, take a sip every time they mention God. Rule 2, take a shot every time they start crying. Rule 3, if you do all these, you will die. Now that you know the perimeters of this movie and a brief summary of it, let's get to prayer. Also, side note, this is not me making fun of religion. I'm making fun of a bad movie. Jesus did not make this movie. The Kendrick brothers did. And I'm not even talking about Baby Keem and Kendrick Lamar. Now let's continue. All right, whip out your Bibles. Now, this movie begins how every Christian movie should, in war. A woman who we will learn later is named Miss Clara talks about her husband's role in war and that life shouldn't be taken for granted because he died 40 years ago and still loves him. Because of this perspective, she tries to save literally every failing marriage in her vicinity. We're not even 20 seconds into the meat of this movie and there's already so many things wrong with it.
Hey, Mom, I gotta go. Yep, all right, okay, bye. Jason and David, get rid of the ball and help me with these boxes. Oh, I am so sorry. You must be Elizabeth Jordan.
Let's break this down. Even if the door was completely shut, you would still hear some muffled speaking behind the door. So she probably just picked up her phone and then immediately pretended to be talking on the phone with her mom. $40 million? Yeah, that sounds good. We can make a deal about that. Oh, yeah, shit, sorry. Hey, are you here for the babysitting job? Then she yells at Jason and David, presumably her sons, to get rid of the ball and help her with the one box she's holding with like only 3 things in it. And one of those pieces of shit says, "Give me the ball," and then immediately chuck it at Elizabeth, to which she dodges with a smile, but let's be honest, she's most definitely code switching here. Melissa's husband, we're never getting back to these characters, by the way. Melissa's husband then proceeds to dart out the door, and Elizabeth says that her husband is the same way, as he works in pharmaceuticals. And I thought this cut was pretty funny.
I understand. My husband does the same thing. Pharmaceuticals.
Oh, does he ever get tired of the travel?
No, I do not.
Tony, who is doing business with a company that Googled Microsoft logo generator, walks away and meets with a woman named Veronica Drake, which leads me to believe that everyone has only a first name in this universe. Elizabeth Jordan, Tony Jordan, Veronica Drake, Melissa Ball, I don't fucking remember her last name. Danielle walks into one of those rooms in this gargantuan mansion while Elizabeth has her feet out, to which Danielle proceeds to roast the ever-loving shit out of her mom.
Is that your feet?
I'm sorry, baby. I ran out of foot powder.
That's like awful. That smells terrible.
I know, Danielle.
This child is terrible at her job, which makes sense. She's a child. Tony comes home, ignores his daughter, and then immediately yells at Elizabeth for moving $5,000 out of their savings account to her sister and her husband, which leads me to believe that Tony is a Sigma male. Now, during their fight, Liz begrudgingly asks Tony if they can just eat dinner, to which Tony responds that he's gonna go to the gym. Sorry, lady, gains are light. And we can assume from this cut that this basketball gym is located in their mansion. The editing in this scene is awesome. It ends with Tony dunking on his wife and daughter. Now, I live in anger that none of my edits will ever be as funny as this cut is.
Hey, Tony, man, you gotta hit me one.
Come on, man, I gotta go.
Dude, I just told all these guys, you get just one. What's that? The favor of God.
Now we get to see a quick scene of them going to church and Veronica Drake shows up and Elizabeth's tonal shift in her face is really funny to me. We then hard cut back to another dinner scene and you're gonna notice that the pacing of this movie is way off. And at this dinner scene, Tony drops the news that he's going out of town this week.
When were you going to tell me?
I just did.
I mean, he's not wrong. Now, Elizabeth tells Tony that in order for their family to function, they have to communicate. Which Tony comes back with his rebuttal that he's the company's top salesman and needs to be flexible for them to live in their giant-ass fucking mansion. Which leads to an awkward silence, to which Tony breaks the silence with this.
But you're a little too old to be jumping rope.
So you know he's a great dad. We then forget about all that shit and move over to Miss Clara saying a line that was clearly written by two white men.
I'm tired of seeing all these young boys with sloppy head and pants around their knees. A man wears his pants around his waist.
And yes, I can point that out. I am, in fact, you know, a writer. Miss Clara and Elizabeth meet up, and we get more insight into Leo, her dead husband, and learn that they had been married for 14 years before he died, and assumably never married again in 40 years. Which seems like a lot of time to remain single. Elizabeth is helping Miss Clara move because she's a real estate agent, which is why she's being shown around the house, to which Clara shows Elizabeth her wall of remembrance, which helps her realize that God is still in control. Miss Clara's been going around saying which rooms are her favorite, so Elizabeth asks which one is her favorite room, to which Clara says, "Find out tomorrow, bitch, get the hell off my property." Okay, she doesn't say that. We then cut to Tony walking into a hospital to sell drugs. He's putting pharmaceuticals there, but drugs is a funnier word, so I'm gonna use that instead. Please don't yell at me. Tony puts the drugs in a closet and then walks out, meeting with Dr. Colin Mockery as a doctor, while Elizabeth and her work friends talk about submitting to a man, which is awesome. You're starting to notice some themes here. We then see Tony parked his Chevy truck randomly on the street just to leave Veronica a voicemail asking about nice restaurants in town, which starts his cheating arc of the anime. Cutting back to Elizabeth, Miss Clara rudely brings up her husband and the Lord as they discuss asking prices, trying to get her to break her guard down while Elizabeth's trying to steer the conversation back to the asking prices. And then Clara keeps pressing about religion and then eventually leaves. Miss Clara asks Liz if she's hot or cold in spirituality, and she responds that she's somewhere in the middle. Like, she doesn't go to church that much, but she still is religious and prays. But Miss Clara obviously thinks that's some huge horse shit and gives her room temperature coffee because people drink their coffee either hot or cold, just to make the point that you're either for God or against God, real us versus them mentality. Elizabeth then trauma dumps on Miss Clara that she's in a failing marriage where they fight all the time. And then Miss Clara finally shows Liz her favorite room.
Now this is where I do my fighting.
A closet.
I call it my war room.
Elizabeth then enters the war room, which is just a closet, and finds out that Clara wrote prayers for each section of her life. And this is where the Christian propaganda really starts to come through, so we're just gonna skip this scene. It's not as offensive as God's not dead, but it's still not good. So cutting from religion to shitty parents, we get a glimpse into just how shitty of parents Liz and Tony are, because Danielle says that she thinks her mom only loves her a little bit, and Liz tells her that's not true, to which Danielle proceeds to ask basic ass questions like, what's her team name for her jump rope team? What are her team colors? Who's her coach? And Liz can't even answer one. She even won an award last week and you didn't know? You're a terrible mother. I hope you and Tony get divorced. We then get a very insightful line when Liz starts venting about her marital problems to Miss Clara, and she says this:
How much of the 1 hour we got together today are you going to spend whining about your husband? And how much we gonna spend on what the Lord can do about it?
Miss Clara is a girl boss. Now it's time for something you definitely weren't expecting in this movie, and I don't think I'm gonna be able to say it without laughing, which is after Miss Clara gaslights Liz via scripture, we immediately cut to a prayer montage. Tony then gets back from his business trip, and she's asking him for 1 month's rent and a car payment, to which he says no because he believes Liz's sister married a loser, to which causes Elizabeth to bring out her trap card.
If you won't do it for her, do it for me.
No.
Tony and his friend, that I have literally no idea what his name is, are working out together, and his friends ask how him and Liz are, because he asks what would happen if his wife was choking, and Tony terrifyingly doesn't answer as he stares into Black Megamind's soul. So I'm even more so not rooting for Tony. He's a killer. He's gonna kill his wife. His friend, who I just now learned while watching the movie, is named Mike, but I wanted to keep the Megamind joke. I liked it. Also says a line in this movie that perfectly sums up the entire plot and the dialogue of this film.
Yeah, I'm a paramedic, but I'm also a Christian.
So I've been covering basically every scene, but I'm gonna start to cut out some scenes because there is literally too much in this 2-hour movie. And it's had so much shit to pad out the runtime, it's insane. You get a scene of Miss Clara offering to pay for ice cream for the three of them, and then Liz asks Danielle to pay for it since Clara and her are gonna drive the car. So naturally they enter into a parking garage, and this happens.
Give me your money right now. Did you hear me? Both of you, give it to me now.
This is the quietest mugger I've ever heard in my life. Give me your money now. I'll kill you. I don't want to make a scene, but I'll kill you. And I cannot prepare you for how they get away from the mugger, so please enjoy.
Do it and do it now.
No. Now you put that knife down right now in the name of Jesus.
And you believe he was early 20s?
This mugger got deterred by the Lord. Now let's do a little challenge. If you're getting mugged, please pull out this tactic and then immediately proceed to tell me how much it hurts when you get stabbed. They report this mugging to the police and everyone rightfully thinks that Miss Claire is a psychopath. So over the next 10 minutes, Miss Clara preaches to Liz. She cries, take a shot.
Hey, I forgot to mention, they cried twice before. So take 3 shots. Just take 3 shots. Oh my God.
And then she proceeds to clean out her entire closet and gets a text that Tony is probably cheating on her. So she starts praying to God as we see shots of Tony having dinner with the woman he's probably gonna cheat on her with. And guess what time it is? It's shot number 4, baby. That's not a time, but she's crying again. So as she's done praying to God, she starts walking around her house. And this scene is reminiscent of that one scene in The Invisible Man where Elizabeth Moss starts screaming out into her house. Except it's funnier in this scene because she's yelling at the literal devil.
I don't know where you are, devil.
I love the part where she goes outside at night to scream at the devil and then goes back inside, only to come right back outside again and scream at the devil some more. I think what also makes this scene really funny is how epic the soundtrack is.
So go back to hell where you belong and leave my family alone.
I thought she was over at a friend's house, which means she overheard all of that. We then come back to Tony cheating on his wife. She makes an advance on him. Tony makes a poopy face, look in the mirror, and almost barfs. I don't know, that's the entire scene. I cannot express how many montages are in this movie. This one featuring one of the worst songs I've ever heard in my entire life, and that's coming from the guy who unironically believes that Calling All the Monsters by China McClain is a perfect song. So we're an hour in and we get introduced to a new character. Seems like a bad time in the movie. And we learn that Tony's inventory is off and that he might be padding numbers to get that paper. Go off, Tony. Didn't realize we had another girl boss in the movie. Okay, he got fired, never mind. Now what proceeds after the scene of Tony getting fired is yet another scene where you go, what the fuck is happening? So of course we fade to black and we hear Liz screaming Tony, where the frame rate drops to look like one of those shitty action movies from the 2000s, and we see someone beating up his wife, to which Tony turns the hooded figure around and it's revealed to be Tony himself. Pog jam. They then start fighting and it's awesome as hell, and then Tony wakes up. What the fuck was that shit? We are an hour in the movie and they can't decide a tone for it. After Tony wakes up, he finally finds Liz's war room and spends the next way too many scenes letting this shit hit him. I love this scene where he's sitting on the bed and they replay the sound effect of Liz screaming for Tony because it sounds like Liz is trapped in the basement and Tony refuses to help. Pray all you want, you're fucked. Tony has a tearful revelation to God about how he doesn't like who he is and how he doesn't know how to fix himself, but forget all that, it's shot number 5, baby! Okay, maybe just take shots for the crying and take a shot every time Miss Claire gaslights Liz instead. That's probably better. As Tony drives Danielle back from jump rope practice, yes, jump rope is important to this movie somehow, the company car is being taken away, and Rick, the GM from earlier who was introduced an hour in, calls Tony a man who stole from the company and padded his numbers.
You're a talented guy, Tony.
This gives me Invisible Dad vibes where the teacher comes home and says that the kid is such a bright boy and that he's a joy to have in class, and then immediately proceeds to bring up the fact that he plagiarized his entire essay. Seems like an odd time to give a compliment. Tony then confesses to Liz that he deserved to be fired and almost admits to cheating, and you guessed it, shots number 6 and 7, baby! So they have reconciled and apologized to each other, and we get the classic old person cheers over the dinner table scene, which is for some reason in every Christian movie. Miss Claire then proceeds to exclaim a line that is a perfect closer to this movie.
Devil, you just got your butt kicked!
So that was a relatively inoffensive movie about marriage and reconciliation. And just kidding, there's still 43 minutes left in this movie. Tony then apologizes to his daughter Danielle and finally becomes a dad again. And we see the woman he's been trying to cheat on with try to reach Tony, but can't. Her character literally exists just for him to cheat on. Danielle and her white friend, I don't remember her name, sorry, make Tony do jump rope with them. And then they ask Tony to join the freestyle jump rope competition. They're really just putting any plot point they want in this movie, aren't they? Okay, scratch off that jump rope thing. We find out that Tony's been stealing pills from the supplies he's been giving to people so he can sell them himself. So after all this reconciliation, the man's going to jail. Tony is then guilted by his wife into taking the box back, so he meets with his boss, director Cameo, and Tom, and they both think he's crazy as Tony is asking for forgiveness for them. Now, every Christian probably thinks they'll be acting like Coleman, the director Cameo, but they, in reality, probably act like Tom and want him arrested. Coleman says he wants 2 days to think about it, so Tony goes back with his daughter and her friend to learn jump rope. We see a montage of them praying together in her war room and them finally being decent parents as Coleman thinks over it. Coleman then surprise drops at their house and tells them that he believes Tony is genuine in wanting to be forgiven because he came back and accepted total responsibility. Coleman lets him know that he's deciding not to prosecute and then leaves, which is great and all, but shots. She even says that was God's grace. Let's go. Surely that was the end of the movie, right? Nope. There's 30 minutes left in this goddamn film, and yes, I'm purposely using his name in vain. Liz is moving another couple into Miss Clara's house, and Charles, a retired pastor, and his wife examines the prayer closet, and his wife says this.
Charles,
What are you doing?
How is the child actor better? And Miss Claris has a smartphone now, which is a callback earlier, and says this.
And this thing is so handy. I've already downloaded a couple prayer apps and got a couple gospel songs.
That was literally the only thing my religion teacher laughed at the entire movie. We then learn that Miss Claire is running a pyramid scheme, proving yet again that she's a girl boss.
Now, we're still going to get together for our little chats, right?
Oh, yes. But now it can't just be the both of us. Oh, you need to find a young woman to invest in. And
I literally am not listening anymore. This movie is the same scene over and over again. But this gives us shot number 10. Tony's then driving Danielle and Elizabeth back to their jump rope routine, and we see him repair Tom's flat tire. Racism then proceeds to end as they shake hands. And is this finally the end of the movie? The soundtrack makes it sound like that, but nope, there's 20 minutes left. I've never prayed harder for a film to end. What's been teased at through this entire movie, but this movie ends with, and you're not prepared for this, a jump rope competition. This movie about a failing marriage. I feel like this movie was written in a boardroom and everyone kept pitching ideas and no one said no to anything. So after 2 minutes of watching teams I could not give any less of a fuck about, Danielle's team finally goes on. Oh yeah, after confessing to a federal crime, Tony celebrates escaping prosecution by joining a jump rope team full of 11-year-old girls because there's technically no age limit. This one kid blows his load after Tony does a backflip. So are you expecting them to place first? That's pretty predictable. No, they place second. So I'm glad they weren't automatically gifted first place. That was a twist in the movie, but we're supposed to give a fuck about the Speed Angels winning first place, which they were really good and all, but like I said, I do not care. He finally gives Liz that foot rub and chocolate fudge sundae she always wanted. She said this earlier in the movie, but I don't remember if I put it in the edit. Now, despite how stupid this movie and how pandering it is, and how I think some of the acting is not that great, this is admittedly a cute scene, and I think they're very believable as a married couple when they're not, you know, cheating on each other.
Tony, I don't want you to smell my feet.
Oh. Forgot about the part where Tony contracts COVID-19 through Liz's feet. Shot number 11. We're finally almost done, I swear. This movie finally ends with a montage of people praying to the good Lord and ends with Miss Claire screaming at the Lord, preaching. My favorite one in this scene is where a father and son look like they're praying to Africa. Never mind, really enjoying the clip of these high schoolers all walking up to the flagpole and putting their hands on it like they're moths drawn to a flame. And then we finally see the title card. And a gospel quote too, why not? So in total, if you followed my drinking game, you would have taken 11 shots and roughly 2,783 sips throughout the entire runtime of this movie, which means you're no longer alive to hear the end of this review. I mean, this movie is not good. I mean, it has everything going against it. Christian propaganda, 2 hours long, more subplots and plot points than a season of Lost. But I mean, there's definitely some okay parts in it. I think the relationship of Tony and Liz repairing is a cute thing to watch. Danielle is adorable. And Miss Claire is unintentionally hilarious as shit when she's gaslighting Liz to rejoin religion. So what did we learn today? We learned that if you're having a failing marriage, just pray. And if you're a woman in a failing marriage and don't love your husband anymore and he's probably cheating on you, well, I'm 18 and not a woman, so I can't help you. But in the words of this movie, just shut up and take it. I don't know. Don't listen to this movie for morals. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to hit that subscribe button to help me in my quest to go from underrated to just rated. And don't forget to politely press that like button, as it's been obliterated too many times. There will be some videos that pop up by my head because if you like this video, you'll surely like one of those. Hope you have a good day, and I hope to see you again within the month. Bye-bye. My light died, so here's my very liberal with the barbecue sauce t-shirt.